Many of us use online video search engines to find video content on the internet. We know these search engines can access the large amounts of video content that is available on the internet. Much of this content is captured and uploaded by users. We type in a query, and the video search engine returns results that are relevant to the query, that are on the topic of the query. But often we are discontent, dissatisfied. Did we find really exactly the video that we needed? This talk is about using intent to prevent discontent. It is joint work carried out in the Multimedia Information Retrieval Lab at Delft University of Technology. Let me introduce the authors in a somewhat unconventional manner. Since we have arrived in Japan, we have been wondering about koi ponds. We know that koi ponds are culturally important in Japan, and we're wondering about their cultural significance. In particular, we're wondering why there's not any koi in this particular pond. Obviously, we do not understand the significance of koi pond. Unsurprisingly, we turn to an online video search engine in order to satisfy this information need. In particular, we turn to YouTube, which we will use as an example throughout this talk. We type in the query koi pond, and YouTube tells us that there are 23,000 results. What we want must be in there somewhere. And the top-ranked results are indeed on the topic of koi pond. However, we are discontent. These results are about building a koi pond in your backyard, and they're not about the significance of koi pond. They do not satisfy our original information need for information about the significance of koi ponds. We are sophisticated searchers. But despite consulting query suggestions and trying query reformulation, it seems the search engine just does not get the point. So what went wrong? Let's look at the search engine pipeline. The user has an information need which is formulated as a query and submitted to the engine, which returns a list of ranked video results. Do we need to work to improve our search engine? Yes. That's what we love to do as multimedia researchers, and that's what we do well. We love to put our heads under the hood of the video search engine. We love to refine our SIFs, our SERFs, to create bags of words to work on our visual concept detectors. But maybe this is the wrong perspective. We would like to present a new picture of video search. We are not working on a video search engine, but rather on a video search vehicle. And in the video search vehicle, there is a user behind the wheel. The user has a place to go and a video search goal to reach. The purpose of the video search engine is to get the user to that goal. Now that we have our video search vehicle, let's ask again what went wrong. The problem is we neglect the goal that the user is trying to reach. Our video search engine is effectively blind to user intent. Let's see where intent fits into this picture. The information need of the user decomposes into two parts, a what part and a why part. The what relates to the topic of the information need, and the why part relates to the intent behind the information need. What is the purpose or the reason that the user is searching for video? Let's have a look at some examples. Consider the query koi pond. The query can correspond to a user information need involving different topics. The topic could be garden koi ponds, the kind with real water and fish, or it could be the song called Koi Pond. Let's contrast topic with the user search intent, the what and the why. Let's again consider the query koi pond. The query can correspond to a user information need involving different underlying intents. The user intent may be to learn how to build a koi pond. Many users have the goal of having their own koi pond. or the user intent may be to get information on the significance of koi ponds, as in our opening example. In our work, we have found 5 categories of intent for online video search. The information category, which involves acquiring declarative knowledge. The experience for learning category, which involves acquiring performative knowledge. The experience for exposure category, which involves developing a sense of having been there. The affect category, which involves having a change of mood. And finally, the object category, which involves the goal of finding a video for the sake of a video. We return to these 5 categories later and tell you how we arrived at them. But first, we look at some examples of videos that fit the 5 categories. What are you searching for? A video on koi pond. Intent category 1, do you want information? Koi carp documentary.
An emperor gazing into a pond fell in love with the sublime movements and beauty of a red fish, the koi carp.
Intent category information.
It's a carp. I think koi is like the shortened form of the real word for the fish.
Intent category information from a movie.
喧嘩をしない動物っていうことですごくこう平和的なシンボルもあるんです。
Intent category experience, exposure. Feeding time at the koi pond. Intent category experience, exposure, video blog. Intent category experience for learning. How to build a garden koi pond.
So this step gonna be building the foundation of the waterfall.
Intent category experience for learning, tutorial, koi pond. Intent category affect, koi carp video art. Intent category affect, relaxing by the koi pond. Intent category object, a specific scene from a popular TV show. So that we see for a single topic what koi pond, there are videos which fit with different intents, which fit with different whys. So intent in multimedia is a brave new idea, but it's clear that it has already established its importance in the community. Shifu Chung mentioned intent in his award talk last year at this conference, ACM Multimedia. The talk was called Lessons Learned from 2 Decades of Research. More recently, we're waiting for the appearance of a journal paper by Lager, Lux, and Marquez, What Makes People Watch Online Videos, an Exploratory Study. So the work is there, but considering the overall importance of intent, this is a very small amount of work. What we would like to do in this talk is lay the framework for increasing the volume of work that's done on intent. And we do this by removing what we see as the intent roadblock, the major reason that there has not yet been more work on intent. The research roadblock is the following. It has been the questions: which categories of intent are useful to users and also are technical in reach? So the rest of this talk covers 3 categories. First of all, it talks about the categories of intent, which ones are useful for users. Then we look at whether it's technically feasible to actually automatically model these categories. We do this with a series of exploratory experiments. And finally, we look at the impact of intent. If we were able to integrate intent into our search engine, would the users then notice a difference? Would they feel that search was improved? Okay, so now we go to the categories of intent. In order to get these categories, we need real people with real information needs, and for this we turn to the social web. In particular, we turn to Yahoo Answers, which is a large question answering forum where there are many users spontaneously expressing their real-world needs, and in particular they express real-world video information needs. We harvest these needs, which are expressed in natural language, from Yahoo Answers. For example, help me ASAP, where can I find a visual video of how to make an almond cake? We analyzed 281 cases of these natural language information needs from Yahoo Answers, in which a user has clearly stated the goal behind the information need. Here the user states, I need a recipe and a video to literally teach me. So there's a very clear goal statement here. We take these user information needs with clear goal statements in an iterative process using a card sorting methodology. We create clusters and label these clusters. And this is the way that we arrived at our 5 intent categories. Information, so obtaining knowledge or gathering information. Experience for learning something practical by doing it. Experience for exposure, having the impression of a real-world experience of a person, place, entity, or event. Affect, having a change of mood or affective state. An object is a video as its own goal. So here's something really cool about these intent categories. I found this quite compelling. When we look at things from the perspective of user search intent, different videos have different real-world corollaries. For example, if you want information, if you have an intent of the information category, instead of watching video, you could buy a book. For an intent of the experience for learning category, instead of watching the video, alternatively, you can find a teacher to show you how to do something. Experience for exposure. You can watch the video. Alternatively, you can take a trip to that place where the koi pond is and witness it in real life. Affect intent category. Either you can watch the video relaxing by the koi pond, or you can relax by downloading the koi pond app to your iPhone and watching the koi swim there in the very beautiful display. The same relaxing effect. And finally, in the category of object, instead of watching the scene in a video online, you can simply go out and buy the DVD which contains that scene. So here we see the video is being acquired by the user as a video. So basically, intent is not just something that we do at ACM Multimedia, but rather it's part of the real world. Next, we move on to looking at the technical feasibility of indexing intent. Is it technically within our reach to make an intent-aware video search engine? First of all, I'd like to point out that we need to be careful with our terminology. We've been talking about user search intent, but we also talk about something we call video intent. Video intent is the intent we have an intuition arises from the video, and this is a combination of our impressions concerning possible user search intent and our impressions concerning what the possible creator intent would be. Okay, so video intent is a rather an inexact way of talking about intent, but it's very effective in practice. I will use the terminology video intent through the rest of the talk, and I would like you to think about it as being defined in this manner. So, is intent within our reach? What we do is we carry out a feasibility experiment using simple features from different feature sources. Okay, these feature sources are motivated by the following contrast. For example, we saw the video that fits the information intent contained a lot of user speech, but very little visual variety. That contrasts with the video which fits the affect intent, which contained a lot of visual variety, a lot of shot boundaries. And for these reasons, we choose shot patterns, speech recognition transcripts as our features. So note that these are just simple features to do exploratory experimentation to demonstrate feasibility. In addition to these, we use user-contributed metadata, title tags, and description. So I'll point out in advance that the best performance does come from the metadata, but we don't want to assume that in the real world we'll always have the luxury of having user-contributed metadata with our videos. Okay, so which experiments did we perform? So using 2 large sets of internet video from another source, from Blip TV, which is a source that allows us to gather Creative Commons video. We classified video according to intent-related tag categories. So our videos are annotated by uploaders with tags that are related to intent, and we basically trained a binary classifier that assigns intent tags to videos. Okay, we used 3 intent categories: information, experience, and affect, and this table gives you examples of the types of intent tags that corresponded to each category. Okay, there are many more intent tags. I refer you to the paper for the complete list, but here we just look at some examples. So the examples for the intent tags related to information are commentary, education, and news. For experience, it's how to, show, and tutorial. And for affect, it's books, comedy, film, and fun. So if you see the paper for the complete details, that would be informative. Here I just want to say I'm just talking about the experimental results on the smaller set, which was a 350-hour set. Okay, so first we look at shot patterns. Shot patterns, basically we concluded that they show promise. The tag prediction for the intent tags averaged over all intent tags of a particular intent class. Gave us a weighted F measure of 0.53. We noticed that shot patterns are particularly good in distinguishing information versus affect, which is basically what our intuition was motivating the shot patterns in the beginning. Okay, secondly, we look at the features from the ASR transcripts. Here, the speech recognition transcripts yield better performance than the shot patterns, so we have a weighted F measure of 0.67. However, as I noted before, they do not reach the performance of tags. Okay, so SMS. We look at 2 examples. Egon comes packaged in a really nice looking blister cover with great supernatural colors and images, really cool bio. Okay, so that's a speech transcript from a video on the experience exposure category. Here in the slide I have affect, but I'd like to correct that to experience exposure. Contrast this with a transcript excerpt from an information video. It's Thursday, April 10th, and I am welcome back to Political Lunch. Barack Obama has painted himself in some ways. Okay, so we see that the experience exposure video has a verb like looking, which is a direct experience verb, and some nice adjectives expressing emotional reaction. And as contrast, the information video has typical phrases used for news, but also things that frame facts such as dates. Okay, notice that here we're not talking about content words, okay? So it's not the semantics of the words that's giving us this contrast, but really the types of words that go orthogonal to the topic of the text. Okay, so it's not the words that would give us the topic of text that are important, but rather words that reflect the style and conventions of the text. Okay, so finally I get to the impact of intent. Here we want to see if we actually achieved our goal of implementing a search engine that is aware of intent, if users would even notice. In order to do this, we choose to do a user study with crowdsourcing. Just to remind those of you who may not know what crowdsourcing is, crowdsourcing is a way of putting micro tasks on a crowdsourcing platform where workers perform them for a small amount of money. In our case, we use Amazon Mechanical Turk. This is a good platform for us because of its large and diverse population. It makes it well suited for user studies. So we design a pretty complex survey in which we ask the people on Mechanical Turk, the workers, quite a few extensive questions about videos. And I'm going to report the results of this survey. Okay, so what exactly did we do? We presented workers with a set of 3 videos that were returned by YouTube in a response to a query. Okay, and because they were returned in response to the query, we assume that the videos are about the same topic, so they have the same what dimension. We then ask the workers if the videos fit the same user search intent, the same why. We ask if somebody were watching these videos, would they be watching them for the same reason? Okay, again, there's a large build-up before you can ask this question. So you have to get the workers to start to imagine why people would watch these videos and make sure that they're thinking in that frame. And then you can effectively ask that question on the questionnaire. Again, I refer you to the paper for more details. Okay, so what did we find out? Well, we carried out the survey for 883 queries. It was filled in by 3 workers for each query. A total of nearly 300 workers participated in this study. And we found that for 55% of the queries, there was a large agreement that more than one intent was represented in the video set. We found that 2 out of 3 workers, at least, agreed that the set contained videos that represented at least 2 different information or intent categories. So what we can conclude is that, yes, the difference is noticeable to users. If our video search engines could become intent aware, users will indeed notice a difference. We also notice that a large number of queries is potentially affected. Here's an example. First of all, we have the query human metabolism glycolysis and the 3 videos that they were presented with, and they agreed that the first 2 were corresponded to the information intent category, and the final one corresponded to the affect intent category. So this final one is a rap song, a very nice rap song, which just happens to be on human metabolism glycolysis. The second one is motorcycle, and here there was agreement that the first 2 were experience for learning, and the third one is a video that fits with the affect intent category. Okay, so the third one is a movie about a little boy with a motorcycle, and the first 2 are tutorials about a motorcycle. Okay, now I'd like to present a conclusion and an outlook. And of course, because this is a Brave New Ideas talk, the outlook is going to be very important because our goal here is to open the outlook. So our take-home message here is that intent can help us to develop video search engines that get users where they want to go. We have attempted to remove what we call the video search intent roadblock that keeps us from publishing more research papers, developing more algorithms, testing more algorithms that incorporate intent. So we have done this by showing which intent categories are important and where we could productively then focus our research effort, first of all, for intent. We've also shown that these categories are technically within our reach. However, challenges lie in the road ahead. I'm going to mention 3 of these challenges. First of all, challenge 1 is isolating intent. Okay, videos can fit multiple intents. I indicated that there was a little bit of fuzziness about what video intent is early on. And there is, of course, a category of videos where we can't really say that there's a clear correspondence between the viewer intent and the creator intent. For example, this video here, you could have a viewer or searcher who's saying, hey, relaxing by the koi pond, but I'm not relaxing. I'm a biologist and I'm studying the fish feeding habits. Okay, so this person is looking at the fish to study their behavior, and that intent is one that could not necessarily be anticipated by just considering the video. So it's important to address this challenge. Challenge number 2 is evaluating intent. So we need to be able to quantify the ability of intent to prevent discontent. And this is difficult because when a search engine fails to return results that are on topic, it's relatively easily noticeable that something went wrong. However, if there's a mismatch in intent, we have a feeling of dissatisfaction. We don't have this red flag, okay, something went wrong, but just a low-level feeling of discontent. I'm not getting where I want to go. And we need to be able to evaluate this quantitatively so that we can actually chart our progress vis-a-vis what we have now as the state of the art. The third challenge is implementing intent. Okay, so basically I've talked today about automatic methods for predicting intent tags. That's only the very beginning of the story. We believe that intent actually fits anywhere and everywhere along the video information retrieval pipeline, everywhere along the workflow of the online video search engine. So, for example, it could be used for query suggestion, query reformulation, query classification. It could be used for re-ranking. All these different methods that we use could be made intent aware. And we believe that this opens up a broad field for the research in the area of intent. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk. We hope that we have managed to open up this new area of investigation, and we look forward to answering your questions. And I'd like to leave you with this perspective, the user behind the wheel of the video search vehicle. Let's make sure that those users reach their video search goals.